Technologies can help reduce the burden on our healthcare infrastructure and drive down the cost of healthcare through increasing efficiency of diagnosis, treatment, rehabilitation, and monitoring of patients, as well as effectively delivering care across the patient journey from institutions to home. Drone-based medical delivery systems, telehealth, and telemedicine are some examples of innovations that are leading the way in bridging the access and care delivery gap. Through wider implementation and adoption still needs to be pushed forth. To discuss how drone taking healthcare to the last mile, we have with us here today Mr. Swapnik Jakampudi, co-founder Sky Air Mobility, and Mr. Abhishek Burman, founder and CEO, General Aeronautics. The panel will be moderated by Somata, Associate Editor, PC Quest and CIOL.
How drones can support the healthcare logistic infrastructure to be faster and more efficient, especially in the remote and rural areas. To discuss this, joining us in the panel today is Mr. Swapnik Jakampudi, co-founder Sky Air Mobility, and Mr. Abhishek Burman, founder and CEO, General Aeronautics. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. So we all know that the government is giving a big push to the drone ecosystem and come up with new policy and regulations. If you could, Abhishek, I would like to come to you first. What do you think about, how the government policy and regulations is going to open new possibilities for, drones in the healthcare ecosystem?
Sure. Thanks, Oma. So, I would say the drone policy 2021, which has come up on August 25th, that's the date, if I remember right, this is the best thing which industry could have asked for. And it is, of course, it is built on the basis of trust and there is no intrusive monitoring, etc. And that makes ease of doing business in this sector much simpler. And of course, the sector, of course, in the present context, we are talking about healthcare, that definitely gets majorly benefited because the earlier regulation in terms of the requirements of no permission, no takeoff, all these things are totally eliminated in the present regulation. Of course, I'm sure there are security implications, and once it comes, it would be implemented all across, but government is going to give industry a time for about 6 months to implement this. So that's very welcoming. But what it makes, much easier, I would say, for industry to do, because there is a very clear definition of so-called red, yellow, and green zones. Thereby, it makes it much easier for us to operate the system in a particular location without any further clearance requirement, be it from DGCA or any other place for that matter. So that way it makes operations much easier. In terms of doing business, there were challenges in terms of number of forms which one needs to fill in to get permission. That is reduced significantly. I don't want to go into nitty-gritties because there are lots which is already said in the media and it's available in open, which people can see. But the best part, I would say, it is perhaps the first time where regulation is much ahead of industry. And ball is in our court. When I say our, I mean the industry side. And we need to ensure that we really meet the intent, what was behind making this. So that is that's what I would want to say on this.
Swapnik, what are your thoughts? At one point of time, we thought we missed the drone bus, and now we are again on the game again. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I concur with Mr. Abhishek too, and I think he has put it in a very good way that the ball is in our court now, right? So we have to catch up to the regulations now. And if you see, the government has very methodically and planned out 3 different and regulations or news things that come out with. First is the new regulations, which has considerably reduced the number of permissions the government organizations we need to speak to get permission, or the forms that we have to fill out. Second is the PLI scheme that they're introduced, so that the manufacturing industry for a drone is there's a catalyst for it to grow. Right, the first rule, they have created demand, and now they want to take care of supply for the PLI scheme. And the third release that they did was the green zone or yellow zone or the red zone, right? And that is a massive improvement for us, because it gives you a lot of area where you can fly. So that way for us, if you see, it's very good. They've created domestic demand for drones, right? They're creating a market for supply by encouraging manufacturers by the PLI scheme. So overall, it's a very exciting time for us, because it has given us an opportunity for us to learn. Right? We've been able to do so many trials that we didn't have that experience before. One of the major things that whatever we had was very limited or theoretical, what we were learning from other people or internally. Now from the Telangana trials we did, there's a lot of practical knowledge. So that given us a lot of freedom to learn from it and then evolve the technology accordingly. But overall, it's a very exciting time, and I think the amount of work we have done in the past 2 months has been more than the amount of work we were able to do the last 1 year. So which is a very good news for us and the whole drone industry.
So another thing, I wanted to ask you both that how how it helps, how the drone providers, drone technology solutions provider, drone operators can enable the healthcare infrastructure in terms of medicine delivery, emergency supplies delivery, and how do you gain experience from these trials that you are doing with different governments, state governments? Swapnik, you would like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Definitely. To kind of give you a background of the trials that we have done through the Medicine from the Sky program that the Telangana government has done, the whole intention is the Telangana state government wanted to connect the different community healthcare centers to the primary healthcare centers and a smaller level healthcare centers that are set up, or district level hospitals that are there run by the state government, right? So if you see the trials that we did in Vikarabad, our base of operations was a community healthcare center, where essentially it had the cold chain capabilities, it had the COVID testing facility, it has a diagnostic lab over there. And from the community healthcare center, you connect into different primary healthcare centers, smaller ones in like a village, probably with 500 or 600 people. Over there, they don't have the capability for cold chain. They don't have the stock for medicines. They don't have diagnostic center or COVID testing facilities over there. So most of the samples are collected there and they're sent to the community healthcare center every day. So what we were establishing is a supply chain logistics with them, in the sense that we were able to transport medicines whenever required on demand. And if there were any diagnostic samples that had to be sent from the primary healthcare center to the community healthcare center. So one of the healthcare centers, it was taking us around 35 to 40 minutes by road. By drone, we were able to cover by 15 minutes. So it's a 10.5 kilometer from point A to point B straight by a flight distance. But otherwise, if you're going through the road, you have to cover a lot of roads that potentially, you will have a railway track. Maybe you stop over there, or if it's raining a lot and there's a road cut off. Right. So then from the community healthcare center, we're connecting to different, not just one, just one example I'm giving. So if you see in Telangana, there are approximately 885, I believe, from 2000, what we got from studies in 2015. There are 885 community healthcare centers and primary healthcare centers. And all of these need to be connected. And most of the places you probably won't have anti-venom if you need to be, right? Vikarabad has a reserve forest. And if you need, in emergency purposes, some anti-venom for a snake bite or a scorpion bite, which might require a cold chain facility, or they might not have stocks, and they're available in the community healthcare center or the district healthcare center, or blood needed, we can immediately supply that to drones. So this is what we had done, and this is what the value we are bringing in connecting to them. And recently, if you see, there was an individual agri pilot in Telangana. There was a medicine that had to be supplied to an infant. and the police needed immediately to be sent to him, but the main access to the village was cut off because of the floods. And the agreed pilot, even though it was not he was not meant to it, he was immediately able to help them by using the drone to transport it across the river, which was blocking off the road. Ideally, once the full stage of execution or delivery of the full project is done, drones would have been able to cater to it, and he was able to demonstrate that it's done. So that way, I think we'll be adding a lot more value. And once we go to northeast states where the terrain and access by roads is very limited, you'll be able to add a lot more value over there.
So Abhishek, when Swapnik was talking about connecting the healthcare facilities, there is extreme challenge we have seen in terms of emergency medical care. So you are also working with an idea of connecting the ambulance network with drones. So could you tell us about how it will help the healthcare or healthcare ecosystem in general, or emergency in responding to emergency medical care?
Sure, Suma. So, the use case, what we are working with GVK MRI, and this was led by Pennsylvania State University with Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Here, the use case is in case of primarily for highway-related accidents, wherein we have in India, if you may know, about 1.5 lakhs deaths are reported just because of highway accidents. And if you see the majority of those deaths, the primary reason is excessive bleeding before any first aid could be provided to the accident victim. Now, and I would say the 60% of cases are like that. And if you see the present state of infrastructure, you have stretches going up to 15 to 30 kilometers where you have certain ambulance. So, the challenge there is, if you see, even if you take example of 108 ambulance service, the max speed which is permitted on highway is about 70 kmph for this ambulance. So that's the max speed they can travel. Now imagine you have a situation which is about 10 to 15 kilometers away. And typically the moment they get the information, time it takes for them to start is about 3 to 4 minutes. And then the traveling time, whatever it takes. So it is anywhere between, it can take, between 10 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on the distance. And generally it is said that if you can stop the bleeding within 7 to 8 minutes, which is so-called golden period, then the chances of survival increases significantly. So this was the problem statement which was given to us. And then we did one demonstration for 5 kilometers, and now we are extending it to 15 kilometers. Idea is that drone must reach this 15 kilometer stretch within 8 minutes. And there is a kit which is called Active Blood Control Kit, which is specially designed by this entity, as I mentioned. And drone would drop the kit there. And there is another important statistics here. What happens in India, again, what I have got from 108 service, even though when we see there is an accident on road, it's only about 4 to 5% of the people who really come forward and help the accident victim. Now, reason could be multiple. One is why to get into, this kind of things where I'll be called to police station, etc. That is one type of thing. Of course, there are rules, but not everybody knows about it. The second part is many are unsure that what kind of first aid or should we provide. So putting these two things together, finally the end result is only 5% of the people really come forward to help the accident victims. So that's where what we felt that if we could have a medical practitioner connect with the bystander, and wherein, he could guide the bystander to provide the first aid in a right manner. With that, what would happen is the participation in any such thing would increase because one, what you are doing is getting recorded. So there is no chance of you being considered to have done something wrong. And number two, that somebody is assisting you on how to go about it. So that's where what we are trying to do now in this phase of the program. That first is that 15 kilometer you need to cover in 8 minutes, which requires the speed of the system has to be in excess of 200 kilometers per hour. It has to be really fast. That's number one. Number two is once the drone reaches the site, it through the 4G, presently 4G, eventually 5G, the doctor from other end can connect with the bystanders and then help them in assist them rather to provide the first aid. Now, another challenge we have in India, suppose the ideal thing would be that drone goes, lands there, then the video is transmitted back to the 108 service. But the challenge is then the drone's life is at stake. If you land in a place like this and you never know whether it would come back. So that's unfortunately today is the situation. I'm sure with awareness, things would be better. So that's where we are, as of now, we are not landing at the site. And what we are doing is once we reach there, we are trying to do the hover. Hover is basically you are being almost static, but you're not landing and switching off that somebody can pack you and take you away. So here you are hovering there and video and audio is getting transmitted. So that's the idea. It has its own challenges because when you hover, the noise which is created by the propeller, how to mitigate that noise because you are also connecting the audio system. So that's the end goal of this program, that you reach 15 kilometers in 8 minutes, you drop the active blood control kit on the site. And the third one is that you connect the doctors from the other end who could guide the bystanders. So that's the project. We are into it. And we are hoping that early next year, we should be able to do this demonstration.
Okay, I would also like to know from you another thing. We were talking about, emergency response. I mean, in terms of emergency care, how we can respond faster and act faster. And Swapnik, you are already doing trials with, different state governments. So we have, on one hand, we have excellent set of innovators in the, drone ecosystem, and we have enough, health tech innovation going in the healthcare space also. So what are the, challenges on ground that you are facing? Or opportunities are endless, we know about that. But what are the on-ground challenges you are facing? If you could just touch upon that.
So, in fact, this was the project, what I just mentioned was afterthought. To start with, we wanted to do organ transportation. That was the original intention. The challenge we faced there, in fact, for that matter, any emergency response system, what becomes very important is reliability of the system. So if you take, say, organ transportation, for example, and we were looking at heart as one possible candidate, because the reason being it has very less self-life. And from the point of the, say, harvested or place to the hospital, if you have to navigate the Bangalore traffic, you never know whether it would reach on time and whether it would have the life or the organ would be in a shape which can be utilized. So their drone makes a good sense. Because otherwise, there is, of course, the concept of green corridor. It was done in Bangalore. Such transportation was done, but that affects the entire, the traffic system, etc. So drone makes a lot of sense there. But it is important to realize that such operations are highly critical in nature, and the system reliability of one such mission, it needs to be as high as a transport aircraft which ferries human beings. The reason is, that typically the organ, say like heart, has a self-life of 3 to 4 hours. That's one. And what happens when it is taken out from the harvesting place to the hospital? Before it reaches hospital, you will find patient is already in OT and they would have started the working on him, right? So imagine a scenario where the mission fails and heart doesn't reach the hospital. So it's a highly, I would say, in a way, safety critical mission. But so what it calls for is very high end of reliability. Now, reliability is linked with the type of components used in your design, which is not really the most commonplace available component what we use today in the drone industry. It's in nascent stage. I'm sure we'll reach somewhere there. So many of the design requirements to have a reliability of sort. It's like, we talk about how many nines after 99 is the kind of measure of reliability. So we talk about 1 in 1 million type of failure is what is permitted, even for, say, transport aircraft, etc. So to achieve that kind of reliability, the kind of component what you need, that also demand that kind of reliability, which is, again, if you have to use, it's not that those components are not available. If you have to use that, the cost viability of a solution like this becomes pretty challenging. So that is where how to make the system reliable to do this kind of emergency operation, that is definitely a big question. And I'm sure the entire industry, we are maturing, and the reliability of the subcomponents are also improving because demand is increasing, as Swapnik was mentioning. So that is a bottleneck, I would say, when it comes to any kind of this kind of highly critical mission where you have, life and death is dependent on that. So that's one primary challenge what I see today if I have to do a transportation of that nature. I would say apart from reliability in terms of regulatory aspect, it was a challenge some time back. It's no more for sure. And even in terms of conceptualizing the design or be the manufacturing the system, I don't see that as a major challenge anymore in India. Of course, we are dependent on some of the critical components we end up importing, because though demand is increasing, but it has not reached a stage where all the subcomponents are getting manufactured in India. So we end up importing. So there are challenges related to supply chain, etc. But I would say those are definitely manageable, and things are getting definitely better and better. So that's what I would say on this point. Thanks.
Swapnik, you are talking about exploring the difficult terrain of Northeast. So, what are the challenges in terms of getting into the rural deep pockets, like rural and remote areas and areas like Northeast? So, how do you want to take that challenge, and how do you want to innovate further?
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, the terrain, say, suppose you're going to Northeast India, I think at least what we envision the biggest challenge for us would be the communication, right? How do you maintain the communication with the drone at all times, and how does the drone internally be able to navigate accordingly? So that I believe that is one of the biggest challenges we will have to work on, address it. So suppose right now in Telangana, where we did face some disturbances because of local conditions. Maybe there's a high tension wires. Maybe the frequency of communication we had, the strength was dropping. But I think once you go to hilly terrain, it will be a lot more challenging over there. So we have to work and figure out a solution where we always in touch with the drone, the communication is maintained, and the reliability on the components, like Mr. Abhishek mentioned, is very important on the other components. And we also need to have the reliability on the technology where if there is any contingency needed, you're always in touch with the drone to take over if need be. Because right now, most of the medical deliveries beyond visual line of sight deliveries are autonomous flights. The pilots are there in case there is an emergency failsafe that get triggered, and the pilot needs to take over. So communication needs to be always established, and I feel that would be one of the main challenges that we will be working on addressing. There is technology currently there, but we'll have to figure out which is the best way for us to go forward and work on it. So I think that's where we'll probably do. Otherwise, the flying of the drone and in general, it's a very reliable and stable. We have enough hours to maintain that. So for the communication, the manned aircrafts might have solved it, but there might be very expensive solutions for us. We have to find a solution where it keeps the cost down, so that our charges to end customers or clients is not too high. We are making it economically viable. So that's where I think our major challenge would be. The next one is to make it very economically viable for everybody, so it's accessible to everyone.
Okay, so just last question before we end. We are running short of time today. So we are talking about drones, drone flights, and how it can enable an immersive delivery model in the healthcare ecosystem. So how far are we exactly from reaching that stage?
So I think it's hard to say right now, but I think technology-wise, we have most of the solutions available to us now. Is just kind of fitting the puzzle in the right place, right, and getting all the ecosystem ready and getting all the players involved. So I think the main challenge would be putting practically doing things and talking to people and operationally setting things up. So I think that's the stage we are at, and then slowly we have to evolve into different category of drones which are able to do higher payloads and longer distances. So I think the next stage of trials that everyone will do will probably be doing with higher payloads and longer ranges. So we are probably halfway there, if you ask me my estimate. But I think the most of the challenges will be in setting up the operational requirements, doing mapping, talking to different people and educating them and what is required at the takeoff and landing sites, making sure the communications are reliable with the drone in general, and then making sure the components that we get in locally in India also is very reliable, and we have to prove a track record. Give the public and the government and all the stakeholders the confidence, and ourselves also, that we were able to demonstrate the capability. So that's where we are at. I think the most of the pieces are available now. We have to work on proving it and proving it multiple times over, so that safety track record is available in all the different parameters that needs to be tracked.
Abhishek, I have just one last question for you, that you are working with different partners and customers. So how, in general, how is the response from the healthcare providers or ecosystem players? I mean, we are all talking about cutting edge technology, but how receptive are they in terms of embracing these new solutions?
Well, I see that's quite positive because, of course, though at GA we are doing this, but that's not the primary forte of GA. We are primarily into agriculture. But so far, whoever we have interacted with, the 108 services, of course, they are our partner in this. But apart from that, various hospitals we work with. And we, along with Indian Institute of Science, we had also worked on an organ box, which is to increase the life cycle of the organ, which can be carried in a drone. What we have seen overall, it is very positive because there is a clear need, as Swapnik mentioned, especially in the areas like Northeast and other places, or for that matter, any emergency response where there is the time is the key, right? So there, if you can save a life by whatever you do, and at the end of it, if you can save a life, I think nothing can be more fulfilling than that. So need is clearly established. It's a question of how reliably we can perform the mission. And I would say, it would be good to do it in certain phases, wherein even for that matter, reliability, what I was mentioning of making it equivalent to bigger aircraft. As long as it is, we understand our system well, we know when things are likely to fail. And if you can characterize those systems, you can do it in stage wise and perhaps handle those things today with more of proper maintenance, etc., where I know very well what my system can do. And slowly it might take some time, but I think we are on the right track. As I said, on the regulation side, absolutely no problem. Whatever best we could have asked, government has given us. On the innovation side, I don't see any dearth in India. We have to, of course, put our act together because still things are in silos. People are doing different things. So I think there is also need of some kind of cohesive way of working, which will give us advantage over other neighboring countries. That would definitely make things better. And I think with this energy and the push from government, it's not too far. Perhaps a year or two down the line, you will start seeing all these things turning into reality on a regular time frame. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, on that thought, we would like to end our discussion today. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining us in the discussion today and sharing your valuable thoughts and inputs on how drones can open a new world of possibilities for medical and emergency supplies delivery.
Thank you, panelists, for that futuristic outlook.